What if it could be used by pretty much everybody? And then that would mean that everyone could get better at Counter-Strike a lot quicker, and everyone who would stumble across it as a viewer could understand it faster.
Hey guys, you're watching 99 Damage. My name is Zorka, and today I'm joined by a surprise guest, I would say, by Anders. What made you come here today to the offline finals of the 99 Damage League?
Well, we've been working a little bit with you guys here at 99 Damage to roll out the Skybox tool that we've been working on for a long time now. We flew down like a couple of months ago and showed it, and there was a lot of excitement. And even though it was like really close to the finals, we sort of made a decision to try and roll it out here and have it tested in a real environment. So it's really exciting. So it's my second time here at the studio. But yeah, it's fun, and it's really fun to see the games as well. Usually I don't have a lot of time to end up watching sort of, like more regional German Counter-Strike. So it's really awesome to see that. And a lot of talent in some teams that I didn't really expect. So I'm excited for that part as well. This was a surprise to me.
Is that kind of a throwback for you to like the early days of your esports career, seeing like a local LAN like this?
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, I think the thing that we're missing now, because I end up watching a lot of the same teams all of the time, playing each other in different countries. And there was a time when you were sort of watching almost all teams. You could sort of follow all of them, and they were all playing in, sort of like big leagues, and you got to know most of the players, even if they weren't, superstars all the way. So it's kind of cool to see that. I mean, I wish, now there's so much Counter-Strike, it's impossible to follow all of it. So it's actually kind of nice to get to see, some players that, some of them I think probably will be, stars in the future. It looks to me like some of them have enough skill that they could make it there.
All right, I'm looking forward to that. But before we talk about Skybox, let's talk a bit about your career in general. You really had a lot of things going on in your life in the past few years, not only like casting and the over situation and all that problem, but you also work with like Room on Fire. You also work with Blast a lot. How do you handle all these different projects?
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I have this weird I have this weird problem, which is that I sort of, when I'm doing a lot of this work, I think, man, I really should like try and find time so that I have like a little bit of a vacation. And whenever I do have like a week of not doing anything, then I sort of feel like, I should be doing something. I need more time, and I should spend my time better or something. So I never really know how to balance that, to be honest. Yeah, and I have had a second child, 3 months ago. So it's all been really crazy. It's been some really wild years of my life, honestly. But I'm kind of glad I'm doing it. I sort of feel like, the more you push yourself to do new things and try more things, it turns out you can actually do more things, and then you sort of learn something along the way and everything. So I don't feel like I have like a magic formula that anything that I'm doing. I'm just trying to get more out of it all the time and trying to do more things, and so far it's been working out all right. So I want to keep doing it, but they have been very, very busy years. Yeah.
Where does the drive come from to not only like have your hands on the casting, but also the other projects like Blast, like Skybox now? Where does this drive come? Where does the motivation come from?
I just think it's interesting. I mean, there are so many things that are fun to work with. I've actually always had this problem of I've always been interested in very many different things. So when I had to pick up an education or like try at least a long time ago, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to like study physics or maybe medicine or maybe something else. And I just had like all these different things that I thought were fun or looked interesting to me. So I think I've just taken that with me everywhere. So I always end up getting into all kinds of weird things, and event production is really fun. Doing the Skybox tool has been an absolutely amazing journey, and we're really only just getting started. I always wanted to get into like game development too. I always thought that would be really fun. So I have all these different areas that I want to sort of like, and whenever I run into somebody and they have like a different area of expertise than me, I always try and talk as much as I can and figure out what they're doing and how it all works. So. I just think I think most things are interesting if you dig into them. Things only look boring on the surface. As soon as you like get a little bit into it, everything is interesting. So,
all right, then let's maybe jump a bit ahead. is there anything planned like beyond Skybox already, or are you just focusing on Skybox right now?
Yeah, that's been the big test for me the last 2 years, is not start other projects because this project already has taken up just an enormous amount of time, like much more than I even realized at the beginning. I think I had like a slightly naive attitude coming into it. I was like, you'll be fine. We'll develop some software and it'll be cool. And then when you really start doing it, you realize it's really amazing. And I mean, we have a crazy team of developers that are really, really good, and luckily for me, people who are good at doing a lot of the management of the whole project. So I'm very fortunate to have that whole base behind me, because otherwise this would not have worked out well. Yeah, I mean, like I said, game development is something that I'm always interested in. So at some point in the future, I'm sure there will be other weird and crazy projects. But I'd say for a while now, Skybox is the thing that's gonna it's just so early on still that and it's a good exercise for me to keep focus on something and really see it through. I think that's important.
Well, then let's talk about that project that you're testing now at the 99Liga-Finals. What's the vision behind that software?
Oh, it comes from so many different angles. Which is one of the really fun things about it. For me, part of the problem that I always think we had in Counter-Strike is that even though it's been a game we've got the 20th anniversary this year, so it survived 20 years, a really long time in esports. But I always thought, the reason it survived this long is not because people really, really, really like watching, cool headshots or anything like that. It's because there's a deeper level to the game, sort of a chess level that's underneath it. And people sort of feel that when they watch it, especially when they play it. But it's never really easy to sort of illustrate. You can't really show people what it is. And that's a problem, because that means the amount of viewers that can understand the game is limited to the people who are sort of a little bit more into it. So anyone comes in from the outside, they don't know that there's any skill to it, and they don't really see it. I really wanted to change that in like a broadcast term. And then the rest of my team, funnily enough, they were actually sort of working on a similar product, which is really a weird coincidence. When I sort of ran into them, and they were very focused on this whole idea of saying, how do we sort of make sort of training and coaching, so those kind of things more easy. And it turns out that's the same solution. Like, you do need to be able to visualize things and sort of show people and all the rest of it. So that's sort of the life of it. And then we had an overall mission together. We sort of sat down and said, okay, well, so what are we going to go with this? Like, what's the plan then? Now that we have an idea about what the product might be, do we still need some sort of DNA inside of the company, or something that sort of says where we're going? And we had this idea. We thought, what if instead of creating some sort of elite tool that can only be used by like the biggest tournament organizers or the biggest teams or whatever it may be, what if it could be used by pretty much everybody? And then that would mean that everyone could get better at Counter-Strike a lot quicker, and everyone who would stumble across it as a viewer could understand it faster. And then we would sort of grow the pool of good players and educated viewers and all the rest of it. And then everybody wins. So I thought that's sort of our mission now. It's like, if we can do that, then we've done something good, right? In the time that we're here. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. And it's still, like I said, it's very early on. We're sort of testing the product in some sense in a sort of beta stage now. But it's really awesome to get a chance to really see it, because you never know how it's going to work out in a live environment. Now we've got a lot of knowledge and information already, and we can take that back and work on everything. So.
And what are the unique things you have to focus on, like juggling all these different groups you're addressing the software to?
I mean, the fortunate thing is that the solution for them is sort of one piece of technology, right? But obviously, if you are a team approaching this tool, then you have certain expectations, and if you're a broadcaster, approaching this tool, you have other expectations. So that's like an exercise we do at home in Copenhagen. We sort of sit down and we say, okay, how can we sort of pretend to be a team or pretend to be a tournament organizer, and what kind of experience would you want out of it? So there's a lot of time that goes into planning things like that. And I mean, fortunately on my side, I have a lot of experience with the broadcasting stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's actually part of the fun. That's like a puzzle you have to solve along the way. And we get lots of feedback. We have quite a few teams now that are testing in closed beta, and more are coming in all the time. And we're getting a lot of good feedback. Like that's one of the most encouraging things so far for me, is that so many of these teams are really good at sort of like writing us and saying like, come on, like we need this and something has to change. Like here's a bug and here's a problem. I sort of wish I could be there more all the time communicating with them, but I'm really excited that we have sort of a community that's already being built inside of Skybox, and I really want that to continue. I think that's really healthy.
All right, and as a last question, what's the roadmap like for the tour now? And maybe you can tell us a little bit about the price as well, because you're saying like basically everyone should be able to use it.
Yeah, we sort of, we sort of went for a model that we wanted to make it, like cheap for people to use. See, I hope I'm not misremembering anything, but I believe for sort of a team license, that's around $60 a month to do that. So in most cases, I would assume, you could probably even sort of put that together amongst friends. But I would argue if you went to your team, even if it was a lower level team, whatever sort of local sponsor there may be, and say, here's the reason why we need this, and it'll actually help us and all the rest of it. And I think, showing the tool, you could make a pretty good case that would be a thing. Then it's it's something that a lot of people can get in on, and I think that's back to the mission about sort of building things from the ground up. That's a little bit what we want. So hopefully that's at a level where everyone feels like that actually makes sense. And then about the future, I mean, there are a lot of sort of small details that need to be put in place when it comes to sort of like the overall visual feel of it, and that's going to be developed. And I mean, those are all sort of the details that fit into place at the end of it. But I mean, the final stage of this will be something even crazier than what we're seeing so far. So I don't want to say too much about the roadmap, but we do have an enormous amount of things planned. So. It'll be interesting. This year will be a lot more Skybox, different places in the world for sure.
All right, I'm really excited and I'm looking forward to that, especially here at 99 Damage, where this is going. And of course, thank you very much for your time. And to the viewers, thank you very much for watching.